Hey y'all, how's it going? I just got back from teaching. Aside from being a PhD student, I am also an adjunct professor. Most of the time when I come home on Monday and Wednesdays, because that is when I teach, I am making a video for the Black Academically Gifted channel. But nonetheless, today's video is gonna be about the one thing that's very vital to know when you're trying to navigate a PhD program is your topic, but the next thing you need to know is your method of research. Anybody who's admitted to the program, they know exactly what I'm talking about, your method of research. You're gonna hear about a lot of methodologies to kind of go into what your dissertation is gonna be about or revolve around. And today I'm just gonna talk about the classic debate between qualitative versus quantitative research methods, right? I wanna break down some of the things that go into each research method. First, we're gonna focus on quantitative research methods. What you need to know is for quantitative research methods, it's all about numbers. The few things a quantitative research method can provide is number and statistics, surveys and experiments, and generalizable results. Now, what do we mean by all this? We're gonna go into some pros and cons of each method. But like I said, we're gonna start off with quantitative method researching first. Now, some of the pros for this is objectivity. Numbers don't lie. Also, quantitative research methods reduces researcher bias. You're gonna have to back up a lot of the things you're doing with data and numbers. Now, the next pro for quantitative methods is something that we would like to call replicability. Replicability is clear formulas and procedures, which means that others can repeat your study. So if your study is repeatable by the data that you procure, you have replicability. The next pro for quantitative research methods is generalizability. If you have a large enough sample, you can make bigger claims about a specific population. And that's basically generalizability in a nutshell. The last pro I'll go over for quantitative research method is statistical power. You can test relationship and even make predictions when you have statistical power. If quantitative research method is your method, just as it's important to have pros for a research method, I think it's very much important as well to have the cons highlighted. The first con I'll start off with for a quantitative research method is the lack of depth. The numbers can tell you what is happening, but they won't tell you why it's happening. And it's not like this in all cases, but that is something that you can run into as a con for a quantitative research method. Now, the next con I'll go into is limited flexibility. Once your survey or instrument is set, it is very hard to adapt mid-study if you're taking a quantitative research method approach. And the last con I will share with y'all is context. Context matters. And one thing I see in quantitative methods is it can overlook cultural and social nuances, especially the importance in things like equity work. Now, we're gonna move forward to qualitative research methods. Just like we did before for quantitative research methods, we're gonna look at the pros and the cons for qualitative research methods. There's a few pros for qualitative research methods, but the first one I'll touch on is depth and richness. You get people's voices, lived experiences, feelings, everything for a qualitative research method approach. The next pro is what quantitative research methods lack is context. Qualitative research method has context. Regarding context for that type of method, qualitative, you can explore how cultural identity and even environment shapes experiences. And that's why there's key stark differences between qualitative and quantitative. Because quantitative, you can kind of see, it kind of leans more on numbers, statistics, while qualitative leans more on lived experiences. And the very last pro I'll go over for qualitative method is flexibility. You can adjust in your research as you go along based off of what emerges from the data. I really suggest that if your research is on something you're taking data on in real time, qualitative research method might be the way to go, because you can definitely just adjust as you go and as you collect data. Now, just like the pros, we're gonna go over the cons. The first con I'll go over for a qualitative research method is subjectivity. Researcher bias is a very big concern. With this method, you're interpreting people's narratives. You get to pick and choose which narrative actually makes it to your research study. So with having this type of power, researcher bias can be a very big concern. That's why I feel like subjectivity is the first con that pops up for qualitative research method. Now the second con would be time consuming. Those of you who are in grad school, you understand that when dealing with qualitative research methoding, you deal with a lot, such as transcribing interviews, coding data, analyzing themes. So you're kind of building the data yourself, and that can take some time. Because some of the things you're pulling data from, it can change over time, then you'll have to reset, or you have to go add more data, where in comparison to quantitative research methods, the numbers are already out there. The numbers are out there for you to use and just kind of make your point. Now the last con for qualitative research methoding would be small samples. If you're working from the ground up with your data using the qualitative research method approach, it's going to be hard to generalize your findings to broader populations because you're starting with smaller samples. So that's one major con to look out for when you're choosing qualitative research method as your approach. So whether you're team Quant or team Qual, both methods are powerful. It's not about which method is better, it's all about which one is fitting for your research, which is ultimately the main goal of trying to choose a methodology. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know, are you more drawn to numbers or narrative? See y'all next time.